Welcome back to another TeamSport video. Although it's been a while, we need to get some rounds in for the BIKC. So this will be part 1 of 3, as we need to come at 3 different times, make sure that we put in our fastest time we possibly can, and hopefully qualify for the locals. Tonight's members event was Sidekick, so we are in teams. So we are teamed with Ant, and decided that our team name will be Team Spaceship. How this format works is you get a one-shot qualifying, which will decide where your team starts. You'll be split into either pro and then amateur, and this is divided between top 10 and then last 10, since there's 20 on the grid. Now this is my dreadful qualifying lap, so enjoy. So that was my qualifying lap, which put me in 10th place. Ant also got a good lap, just as me, and he got 9th place. So we were doing well as a team, but that put us in 4th place in the pros and 4th place in amateurs. So for this race, I am amateurs, so I'm starting 4th place at back from 10th place. Confusing, I know. So in this race, there's a lot of familiar faces. So we have Simon directly in front of us, we have Sam in the pink suit just a bit to the left, and then also the rest of the quick finishers, which I'm sure you'll all recognise. So make sure you share some love in the comments below. Now the plan here was for Ant to drive away, get first place, and then win the race, and me to try to make my way through the pack to try and get more points for our team. However, in this one, it definitely doesn't go to plan. However, stick around for race 2, as you've already seen a little glimpse of what happens. Now I don't normally have a lap counter at TeamSport, but I've got a little bar across the top. Once it is completely empty, we'll know it's race end. But let's see how we get on. Now as the lights go out, I see if I can get on the inside. However, I decide to do the risky move of going all the way around the outside, see if we can make any places. However, we generally just stay the same. Then as we go into the next fast left-hander, we just get a little bit sideswiped and lose so many more spaces. And then there's just so many on track that we just get a little bit swamped. As you can see, plenty of argy-bargy, plenty of taps. However, none of it's really intentional. Maybe, as you will see a little bit later on, no hint that Simon likes to get his elbows out, but we'll find out what happens. Now we can see Lewis in the BWT suit, who started well behind me, managed to make his way a good few positions, but we try and get that back here going into tight left. Now we can see Simon try to take out Bishop going up the straight, but it's managed to make us a little bit of a gap to get right behind him. As we're going up into this fast left higher pin here, we try and get the position. However, Bishop ends up spinning, there's no place for me to go. I just end up hitting Simon, and then that's just how the entire race is going to go. Now we do manage to make it stick, however we do know there's some very fast people behind us, so how long for is another matter. So we just need to get our head down, try to get onto Bishop's tail here, which sounds wrong as I say that out loud. However, we need to get them positions as fast as we can. Now, quick skip, we can see Bishop has caught the cart up in front, and he's made a lovely move into the last corner. Now, I don't manage to follow him through, which has put me at disadvantage going down the ramp, but we need to get through as fast as we can. But since we're now battling, means that there's maybe space for someone behind to catch up, and we'll see exactly where they might try to make a move in just a moment. Now as we go up to this complex, keep an eye on the cart in front, because he must have got his wheels on a bit of a slippy stuff, because he ends up just driving into the barrier, which has now just allowed space for Simon to get through. So now here comes the argy-bargy of us trying to make our way back through. But it is always fun racing Simon. He always complains that I keep on forgetting to put the footage off of our battles, but they always are so fun. And just to say that, I skip a little bit ahead because we see Lewis just managed to make his way very neatly passed us. Now Lewis was only 1/1000th off the lap record for the international track tonight, so he was absolutely on fire flying. So let's see if we can try to follow him through on Simon. Now we can see he gives him a big push going into that last corner, and he's following him down the ramp, but let's see where he might be able to make his move. And on the same lap we can see he's right on Simon's bumper, so he's definitely close enough to make a move. He tries to get on the inside here, however messes up, or Simon didn't give him space, which pushed Simon right. Can we follow through? We can see Simon's pushed him to the inside. We're trying to go around the outside, but there's not enough space or not enough speed for me to follow through. Now this is going to be a little bit painful if I do hit this barrier, and then that's just allowed the kart behind to get through as well. So we've actually just lost some more spaces, but we can see side by Sam go down the ramp. Now I don't want to do that because it's happened before where it hurts me, but we'll see what happens if this person can get in front of Simon. Now as you can see by the white bar, a lot of time has passed, but we have just been back to back with each other with a couple of back markers getting in between us, but we're all bumper to bumper going through. Now we have just managed to make the move there, so we are trying to reach back up to Simon, and we'll see if we can manage to get that move on him, because I am determined to get my own back on him. Now we do get back onto Simon's bumper, and as we can see, I think this might just be a back marker at this time, who Simon just picks the wrong way to go around. We managed to make a little bit of pushing there, I've managed to make that stick, so at least using the back marker to actually get past. And as you saw up the ramp, there's actually someone backwards in that way as well, so maybe I should give the space back. But now we are right behind Bishop again. With the yellow flag as well, it allows the grid just to bunch up a little, although people shouldn't be going as fast as they maybe are here, but some people do take advantage of it where they can. But we can see back in our vision we've got Sam, Joshy, the person in the LN suit as well. So at least we are back with the pack we actually started with, but it's taken us a while. Now the lights went green, and as we can see the front are battling, so we are right behind Sam here, and we know every point counts in this, especially since we're part of a team and we started pretty far back. We've got Freddie maybe holding up Joshy a little bit in front, so we've got to pick our time wisely on when to get Sam. Now these are 20-minute races, so we have been racing for a while now, and we're not quite sure when the last lap is, so we've got to make sure that as soon as there's any gap we go for it. As we're following Sam, we just want to make sure where she's maybe losing the most time. Now she was cutting it a little bit tight going into the complex, but she does manage to get a good release. Going around this teardrop seems to be where she's losing the most time, as she's more mid-track, maybe not close to the apex, so that's where we can maybe see if we can capitalise on either getting that better run out or up the ramp or going into it, but we'll certainly see. But as you can see, she's got very tidy lines, especially going around them hairpins. This corner's flat out, so you really shouldn't be getting it wrong unless you're not going flat out, but she definitely is. Going around the last corner, we can see she's got a little slip angle. She gives us a lovely look there just to check who's exactly behind her, because I am giving her a couple of taps going around the corner, but hopefully that's put a little bit of pressure on her so she doesn't mess up on a corner. So let's see if we can make the most of that and just try and make that little bit of a mistake. As we can see, I don't know if she's trying to defend going into this teardrop sort of thing. As we can see, she's went too wide on the exit there, and then we've managed to make that stick going into this corner. So as I thought, with it being a little bit weak going around it, at least we've managed to get away. Now by chance we can see for that white bar is this may just be the last lap. However, the people in front are defending, are battling, so we'll see if we can make that one extra space. But as the white line finishes, we can see someone's on the left hand side, one of the marshals, and he's about to wave the checkered flag. So that is race one out the way. We didn't do too bad, but start definitely messed us up. And saying about starts messing us up, let's have a check what happens in this next one. So being honest, I don't know why we are gridded to where we are in this one, but I'm guessing it's maybe position where you finished. That would make sense. But let's see what happens when green light. As we can see, decent getaway. However, all hell breaks loose, and that was a little bit painful, not gonna lie. As you can imagine, that's a red flag immediately. So let's just take another look at that. So as we make it slow motion, we can see Dan seems to turn in early and hit the barrier on the left hand side, and then causing that little bit of a pile up, and I got rammed up the backside. I rammed the person in the backside. However, we can see us leaving that side by side with Ant, so maybe it wasn't too bad, but we would imagine that there might be a regrid at this. But turns out, as we're going, we get told that we're actually going to start on yellow lights and then go green. So I'm guessing we'll run out of time. As we can see by the actual white bar across the top, that's how long the race is left, because this is quite late on a night anyway, these races, so they have a race afterwards they've still got to make time for. So we're keeping a close eye on the green light. As it goes green, we thought about moving up the inside of Freddie, but we want to make sure we can get their positions. And actually there's a chance us might be able to win this, considering we're so far up the front. And this kart felt good. And at this point as well, Freddie knows I'm behind him. We can see him glancing over his shoulder. And he always likes to get a little bit of content time, as it's been called before. So he's definitely not going to make this easy for us to get that overtake. Or he's going to do his famous defending and then back me into the behind. So we need to see if we can get that move done as soon as possible. But we can see Ant is doing an amazing job actually keeping on with the people in front. So we're on a good chance, considering we're teammates, to maybe get a trophy at the end of this. Now I can see Freddie just sliding it a little bit around these corners, and as I mentioned, this kart does feel good, so we want to make sure that we can try and keep it tight. This was my favourite point of this race, to try and get the overtake, whether not going into this one, keep it nice and tight, going up into this hairpin. We can see Freddie just leave the door open that little bit, get that move done, don't make him be able to get a switch back, and then there we go, one move done. Next for Ant. Now we weren't sure if Ant was going to make this easy for him, but I was actually deciding to actually push him to the karts in front, so at least we might be able to get that 1-2, but let's see how we get on. Now we do get a good run out the last corner, and as we can see we're maybe just edging that a little bit closer to Ant, corner by corner, so at least we can try and get that push a little bit sooner than we think. But we can see the front aren't battling too much, which might mean they can get away, but we'll see exactly what happens a little bit later on. Now we are coming to my strongest part of this race, which is round these complex, back up to the top, and then we see Ant just glance over his shoulder so he knows who's behind him, and actually he decided just to let us pass. We can see him just give us a bit of a point, wasn't going to battle that, and away we go. So we know Ant is actually pretty fast as well, so if he can latch on the back and then follow us through to the next pack. Now it does take a little while to catch the kart in front and jump ahead. Now this race was extremely close. This was pretty much how all them laps went, where we were on the back of each other. Coming up to where I was really strong tonight, Morgan does just leave the gap open a little bit for there. A little bit of late braking, but at least he did leave room for us. Now the back markers are starting to get in the way, and I wasn't sure if I was going to lose that position, so we've got to make sure that we do it as smoothly as possible. He moves over for them, however it doesn't move out for us, and going round the last corner the back marker nearly takes me out, but we managed to make that stick. So we've got one position out the way, and now we need to chase down Chris and Sean. There's a little bit of a pattern in this race. As I skip forward to the strongest part of where I've been tonight, we're trying to get that move on Chris. Now we can see he just doesn't keep it tight round there. I am side by side, so he's definitely seen us at this point. I try and give him that little bit of space, but I don't leave him enough so he can get that switch back on us. So now we are in a second place and one more to go to see if we can get that W. Now, tiny skip ahead, we can see there's not much time left of this race. We are right on the bumper of Sean, so we need to make sure that if we can do a move, we can make it stick and go. So this might just be the last lap. So we're looking exactly where we're going to make that move. Thinking that trying to go for a dive bomb down into the teardrop. However, he messes up the exit. Thought about actually going to dive bomb into the next one. Now we push him outline there, coming up to my strongest part of the lap. I'm thinking I've got this in the bag, so again keep it nice and tight. However, he's definitely seen what I've been doing. He looked the wrong side, went for the move, didn't have enough overspeed, had to be pushed around the outside there, and then Chris has managed to get that switch back on us, and the kart behind also follows through. Now this isn't a good place to be on the outside. Now Morgan, there's a back marker. I've managed to just dive bomb onto the last corner to get Morgan. Now we are in third place. There's actually one more lap, so is this enough time for a catch up? Sean maybe thinks that I'm directly on his tail, so he might be going a little bit defensive. Chris definitely knows I'm going to try to dive bomb. He knows where I've been strong. Is he going to try to defend? Can we catch him up? How many laps are left? We don't know. So we're doing our hardest. very fast round that corner, back end a bit too slidey, went a bit more. Chris decides to go for the dive bomb on Sean there, doesn't make it stick, so but that gives us enough chance to get on the bumper. Again, we've got a good run going up to the top here. Chris has looked over his shoulder, he knows where I'm at, however I'm not close enough to make that move. And as we go through the final corners of this race, there's just nowhere else I can make that move stick. Sean has gone, I see the marshal run and get the checkered flag. Chris defends for that, and we can see the checkered flag going. Now that is race over, one of the best nights I've had at TeamSport in a while, and such a fun race. So I finished third and finished fifth, which put us on a podium of first position by 1 point. If you have enjoyed this video, please do consider subscribing, and if you do want to watch more content, click the video on the screen now.